Kids don't forget.
Kids, don't forget.
You kids don't forget.
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 Kids, don't forget.
Kids 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 don't forget.
Kids, don't forget.
Kids don't forget.
Kids don't forget.
Matthew, how are you today?
Doing well. How are you?
I'm great. We are so excited that you're here with us today. Thank you for coming out.
Well, thanks for having me. I know you don't normally do these remotely, but we're across the country from each other, so we kind of have to.
This is actually my first virtual interview, so I'm very excited about this to try it out. Now, did I pronounce your name correctly?
Yeah, that's the only two people that call me Matthew still are my mom and, well, three people. My mom and dad and my wife. So yeah. Most people call me Matt.
So that's what I was about to ask. So first of all, has your name ever been mispronounced your first name ever been mispronounced in your life?
No, because there's so many Matthews. Like the year I was born, it was I looked it up. It was the most popular name in the United States. So I think that's why.
So you've never had to deal with the agony I've had to deal with growing up. So my name is Khalid. It's Khalid spelled Khalee. I get Kaylee, Kylie, Khalil, Cowley, like so many different variations. Most commonly, people mispronounce my name Khalid, and it like aggravates me. So to have a name like Matt that never gets mispronounced ever is kind of like great.
Yeah.
So obviously Matt is a nickname. Did you have any other nicknames growing up?
My last name is unique. A lot of people don't believe it's actually my last name, but it's Beat, like beat a drum.
Right.
Yeah.
Right,
so a lot of it like a lot of my friends just called me Beat. And then I was a teacher for many years, so I was Mr. Beat, but even my students would just call me Beat.
Right.
Sometimes Beatbox, or my email address is Beatmaster Matt. So like that was actually my DJ name when I was in college. Like, and I was in radio for a little while, so that it fit pretty well with, so.
Okay, we're definitely going to get into that. Okay, so where are you from?
I'm from originally I'm from just outside of Wichita, Kansas. So I grew up in a small town called Augusta. And then I went to the University of Kansas after high school, and actually ended up back there. Like we moved around a lot after I got married and started a family, but we're back just west of Kansas City. It's a college town. But it's about 100,000 people. Lawrence is the name of the town in Kansas, but we like it here.
Okay. So you've been in Kansas your whole life, basically.
Yeah, I lived in Nebraska for about 4 years, but other than that, yeah, I didn't get very far away.
Now you said Augusta or Wichita?
Augusta, which is it's just outside of Wichita. Yeah.
Okay. So if I were from Augusta, or better yet, you're at the mall in Augusta, and a girl who is also from Augusta, like you're a teenager, says, "Where are you from?" What do you say? Like, what neighborhood are you from?
That's the thing. It's so small. There's no mall. There's no neighborhood. Like it's all pretty much one neighborhood.
Okay.
I would say we lived in a more rural area between Augusta and Wichita. So
right.
Like I couldn't even, if I wanted to go to my friend's house, I would have to hop on my bike and go like 3 miles. So
I can't even ask you how you would describe your neighborhood growing up, because there essentially wasn't a neighborhood.
Well, but it was cool. I was pretty lucky with where I grew up, because my parents still live there, but it's right next to a lake. It's a small lake, but it's a lake, and it's so we would walk down there and you could see it from our house. And so I lived on about 2.5 acres, so we had a nice big backyard. We made a baseball. My brother and I made a baseball field back there, and so, I mean, we had neighbors, but they were just kind of far away. So it's not like we were like in the middle of nowhere.
Okay. I was just about to ask you if you were an only child, but you just mentioned your brother Older or younger?
A year and a half younger.
Younger. Okay. So are you the oldest, or are there more of you?
I'm the oldest. I have also a younger sister who is almost 7 years younger than me.
Ah, okay. So if you're 10 years old and you have a brother who's 8 or 7, whatever month it is.
8 or 9, yeah.
8 or 9, right. And you have a little sister who's 3.
Yeah.
Okay. What was that like for you growing up, being the oldest?
Yeah, I mean, I was very bossy to my brother. I still am sometimes. I always I would have ideas and like, hey, come along and let's do this. And he'd be like, okay, like we start back to that baseball field thing. I started an imaginary baseball league where we would just play the roles of everybody on the different teams. And I kind of forced him to help me with it. We got really bored a lot out. I mean, we didn't have cable. We only had 3 channels or 4 channels on TV after Fox joined up. But so when there wasn't much on TV, we kind of just like went outside and did stuff like that because we got bored.
Got it. Were you like very protective of your little sister?
Yeah, but the thing is, like, I never attended the same school as her, so
Right.
I think that would have made a difference, but definitely that's kind of a thing. Like the age difference made it so that, especially when she was little, like I did whatever I could to take care of her. You know, I remember actually like changing her diapers. That's one of my earlier memories. Okay.
Now, did you grow up with both parents?
Yeah, I was lucky that my mom and dad are still together. They've been married. They pretty much they got married, and I was born 9 months later. But yeah, they 41 years now they've been married.
Wow. So what was you can start with whichever parent you want. What was your relationship like with each of them?
It was pretty good. My mom, I think I'm more like her.
What's her name? Give her a shout out.
Oh,
her first name.
Oh, Diana. Shout
Miss
out.
Diana. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so, I mean, she, when I was little, she got to stay home, at least part-time, but for most of my childhood, she was working full-time. But at the same time, she would come home and work full-time at home. Like, I didn't realize it until many years later that she probably didn't have much free time when I was a kid. Like all the things she drove me to, and she cooked a home cooked meal every single night. It wasn't like it was microwave dinners. It was like she loved to cook, and so maybe that's why. But always working, always cleaning, always she did so much. And but I felt like I had more it was easier to talk to her, I think, because we always kind of had the same kind of viewpoint about things. And my dad, he also worked all the time, but he was a mechanic for many years. And
what's your dad's name?
Oh, Alan.
Shout out to Mr. Allen.
Yep. He essentially, I felt like we didn't have as much in common other than maybe sports and stuff like that. He always coached me with sports, especially with baseball. So that's kind of how we connected through sports, I think, more than anything. And we didn't have many deep conversations, but when we did, like once a month or whatever it was, it would be like really deep, like philosophical, like an hour-long conversation. So he was the one who got philosophical when we did talk.
Got it. Now, did you wind up becoming a parent yourself?
Yes, I have 2 daughters, currently aged 11 and 8.
Okay, nice. So 2 beautiful blessings.
Yes.
You know how your parents raised you because you were there. What would you say are some similarities and differences between your parents' parenting style and your parenting style? Like, what did you take from them and you feel like you turned into your parents? And also, like, is there something you like or things that you say, I'm never doing this with my kids?
Yeah, like I feel there's more similarities than differences.
Okay.
As far as like just being involved, like my parents were really involved with in terms of every extracurricular activity they attend. Even if they worked all the time, they were able to like get off work to see me in a like play soccer, for example. And also morals were really important to them. Now that said, I mean, they both live by the golden rule, you know, treat others as you want to be treated. And I think that's kind of guides everything as far as how I parent. I'm always constantly telling my daughters, okay, like what you just did, what effect did that have on others? And I mean, so much about like, even like they were asking me the other day about cuss words. I'm just like, the reason why you don't cuss is not because of, you know, any like weird, like it's strictly because you don't want to offend people. Like it's how you want other people to see you. And I think that's how my parents raised me. Like there's always about like, you need to be the best version of yourself to other people because that's all we got. All we got is each other. So even if it's a perfect stranger, like my dad would be the type of person who would just, if somebody went up to him on the street and asked him for $100, he'd probably give it to him. And so like, right. So I guess, yeah, how I parent in terms of differences, I'm not raising my kids in a very religious home. We're not religious.
Okay.
Whereas my parents are very religious. Like I was raised in a strict Catholic upbringing, and that's kind of what guided their morals, and it still does. So that's the biggest difference I would say is like I went to Catholic grade school, which means I went to mass like 4 times a week. My kids don't go to church, but that doesn't mean that they're not being taught morals, like being taught what's right or wrong.
Right. Got you.
Yeah.
Is there something that turned you away from the Catholic Church?
Oh yeah, many things. In fact, my parents didn't even know I had stopped attending until probably 4 years ago because I told them I was too afraid to tell them because I didn't want to upset them.
Right.
And my mom's still upset by it. Like, but the thing is, like, a lot of what I was raised on was based on fear. Like, you're going to go to hell if you don't believe certain, like, if you don't believe church doctrine, you're going to go to hell. Like, and they made me fear hell. And I, upon reflection as an adult, I realized that was kind of messed up, that I shouldn't just do good for fear out of going to hell. Like I should have done. And so that was one part of it. Hypocrisy was a big part. Like I would see church leaders do one thing and preach another thing. And then I would expect leaders. I don't know if you've seen the movie Spotlight, but the priests and bishop and higher ups, the cardinals, even in the Catholic Church, the scandals that revolved around the priests that were molesting children and covering it up. And that was part of it. And then just like, I think, as George Carlin said, I just reached the age of reason. Like if you're going to think critically about things, you got to think critically about all things, not just compartmentalize like most people do. Like, you know, it's fun to believe in stuff, but at the same time, I think for me, the truth is really important. And I think it's better sometimes just to say, I don't know. Like, I just I haven't figured this out. I'm not going to pretend like I know the answer. So, and I'm okay with that. I understand a lot of people aren't okay with that, but I kind of, it's almost liberating to me, like just to say, I don't know what happens after you die or if there's a higher power or not. I don't know.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. Let's shift back a little bit. I bet you don't remember all the schools you went to growing up.
You mean like preschools?
If you remember preschool, do you remember preschool? Did
no,
you start?
I know I went to a Montessori school for like a year. That's one of my earliest memories, but I don't know the names of the preschools. But I do remember teachers is a different story.
But from elementary on, you remember all those.
I do. Yeah, I do because I only went to 3.
Oh, really? Okay. So elementary school, where'd you go?
St. James Elementary. That was the Catholic school I was telling you about. And then I went
Okay.
to Augusta Middle School, and then I went to Augusta High School, and that's it.
Okay. So let's start at St. James. Like, what was your experience like there? What was elementary school like for you?
Yeah, it was a small school. Like a lot of times I had like my 5th grade class, I only had 11 kids in that class. I remember that.
Right.
And so we all kind of were friends with each other, but if something went wrong, then we were all kind of enemies. Like, so that was, you didn't have anywhere else to go. So I didn't like that part of it, but yeah, like we wore school uniforms, of course. We, like I said earlier, we went to church 3 times a week, like Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I got a good education there. Like it was intense. And when I think about it, like when I went to public school for the first time in 6th grade, I found out that like my reading and writing was above average. And apparently that's pretty common because in Catholic schools like that, apparently there's more emphasis on your ability to read and write. I didn't even like, and so like,
Right.
yeah, like it was mostly positive. Like,
Okay. Okay. So, like, did you walk to school? Did your parents drop you off? You catch the bus?
I rode the bus. Yeah, we so since my parents had to work, so we would wait out there in the dark and cold sometimes. Actually, I had some traumatic events happen when I was waiting for that bus. Like when I was in
Okay.
elementary, we watched